My strategy is called Statues. And I was really lucky last year. I worked at an elementary school where we got the Elevated Arts Grant. So I got some extra professional development around adding in art strategies into curriculum. And this is one of the strategies I learned there. I love this strategy for a virtual setting because it's a low tech engagement strategy, and it gets your kids up and moving out of their seats. They have to be standing for this. This is great for vocabulary assessments or just concept assessment in general. There's also some really beautiful SEL connections to it because there's lots of opportunities to talk about facial expression, body language, and things like that, and tie that in for your students. So the cues for this are that you would introduce a vocabulary word or concept, and you can use this as a pre or post assessment. So at the beginning of a unit, you might use it to gauge a level of understanding that your students have and then come back and assess it later. It can also happen multiple times throughout a lesson. You can have your students share their statue, allow some think time, and then have them adjust their statue as they learn new information about that word. So then you'll allow some think time, and students create a statue with their body. And it's really important that they hold the statue so that you can observe what they are showing with their body, and so other students can observe them as well. So the bonus for this would be to ask students to interpret a classmate's statue. I used to love like splitting my class in half and having half of the room become statues while the other half walks around and observes them. And then we would swap the activity. And the beauty of Google Meet, you can see everybody all at the same time. So it can become a really fun montage of statues on your screen. And on the next slide, we're going to give this a try. I have a word here for you. So this would be a great vocabulary word for students, eagerly. What does it mean to do something eagerly? So I'm going to give you a little bit of think time. And if you're comfortable having your camera on, that would be great. This makes it a little more fun. Think of how you could represent this word with just the upper half of your body. So I'm going to give you about 10 more seconds of think time. And then I always say to my students, strike a pose. And that's when they know they have to go into their statue, and they have to remain a statue until I ask them to release it. All right, are you ready? Strike a pose. Great job, you can release it. So then there's some discussion questions around that. You can ask students, what did you see? Especially if you have some observers in your classroom, they can talk about what they notice about the statues. And it's fun because our statues cannot move, they're frozen, they can't talk, they can't tell us what they were meaning to say. We can only make some interpretations around that. And then you can dive a little bit deeper asking, how does that statue represent our vocabulary word? And then Kathy, on the next slide, I just have some variations of this assessment. So you could have your students post their statue to Flipgrid. You know, Flipgrid is well known for videos, but you can also do pictures with it. So think again about a gallery walk, having everybody's statue posted up in one place. We did a strategy, it's strategy number 2 in the slide deck, random name picker. You can embed vocabulary words into that spinner and spin the wheel, and that's the statue your students have to make. And then one of my other favorite things was group statues. So I haven't done this in a virtual setting, but depending on where students' boxes are laid out next to each other, they can make like a montage of statues next to each other. You can send them to breakout rooms where every person does a part of the representation so that collectively they're representing a single word.